I think most of you are back. Maybe one or two are yet to join, but should be okay. Yeah, we'll go to the next position.
So just now you joined, no?
Yeah, just now.
I thought position.
Yeah. Okay. Look at this position and see white to play. Who is the key defender of what?
Sir, I think so. Bishop is capturing on e6, no, sir?
Yes, that would be one threat, but
And so the queen has to capture on d4. That is, I think that is queen captures d4.
and what if rook captures the queen?
If rook captures, still you give a check. Afterwards, the rook, sir. No, sir. If, no. Then you can't capture. Wait, sir. I think rook gives a check on f8.
When?
After the rook takes on d4.
So the key defense. See, look at various things here. The white rook on f2 is a powerful rook because it is on an open file, and it can potentially have a back rank threat if black rook moves up. Black rook is currently on d8, but if black rook moves up the board, and if the king is not near f8, then white rook has got a latent threat. Second thing is that the pawn on c5, it is not directly, indirectly, it is pinned against the queen, right? Because there is a white rook on c1. So lot of things, but which are not direct. Nothing is direct. But the knight is the key defender, which is defending the e6 pawn. And bishop taking e6 is a very key threat because it forces the king to move, right? And a lot of things can happen. So you are right. Somebody said that. I think it is right, and you can see it also that queen takes d4. Queen takes d4 is now what you are killing black's knight. Now obviously black cannot let you go scot-free because you will be simply one piece up.
Yeah.
Right.
Simply an item.
So what should do if he kills with the pawn? If he kills the queen with the pawn,
bishop captures on e6.
Then bishop on e6. Bishop captures e6 is a discovered attack against the queen on c7. King moves, then you will capture the queen on c7 and you will be one piece up, right? You will be one knight up. If the rook captures on d4, then bishop takes e6, king goes to h8, and then rook to f8 is a checkmate. So this is what actually happened. So queen takes d4 is suddenly, it did not appear. See, that's why it is before you think about all of these things, it looks like everything is well defended. Rook on d8 is defending the back rank. King is on g8. So white rook cannot come to f8. e6 pawn is defended by the knight. Knight is defended by the c5 pawn. c5 pawn is defended by the queen. Everything looks okay actually. And in fact, it is the white who has to think about his e5 pawn, which is under attack by the black queen and the rook. Right?
When first second I saw for capturing a pawn on e6, why I'm sacrificing the queen. But afterwards I understood.
Yeah. So the key thing
yes, sir, we should sacrifice a queen to kill the knight, and then you can kill the pawn. Then you could kill the pawn.
So see, the thing is, these ideas now, because we gave you this position and now we can think of it. But
yes,
if it is in a game, it is happening, it is very difficult to notice it, right? I mean, very difficult means you have to be really good. Every move you have to be thinking, because something changes and is something possible. Because now we are saying that something is possible here and you are thinking about it. But maybe this was a regular game that was happening and black was pushing white on the e5 pawn. Putting pressure on the e5 pawn, and white had to think about defending it, but suddenly he found that, oh, I can do this, right? So how do you find it? Not suddenly.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So yesterday I was playing an offline tournament. Same thing happened to me.
Is it okay?
As my queen and I get his queen along with 2 pawns.
Okay, okay. But you have to be able to spot it, right? You have to be able to spot it. Right. Yeah. This happens. I mean, the only way is to do a lot of practice and keep visualizing. I mean, I'm trying to find out something which I will share with you, where how to build up these visualization skills, because every move you have to be able to what happens if I do like this, if I do like this. I mean, and it should not happen even consciously. Unconsciously, your mind should automatically be scanning. That is what will.
And only we have to not calculate our moves. Even we have to calculate what our opponent can play.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this was an interesting position. Let us look at one more position. Yeah, let us look at this position. This is a very interesting position. Look at it, and then white to play. So obviously black thing. So who is a key defender of black's position?
B2 bishop is the defender.
Yes, P2 bishop is the key defender. It is actually not in
Bishop
the right square for it should be. Where should it be? What is the right square for that bishop of dark squared bishop of black? Where should it be?
G7.
G7 is the right square. It is the right square for it, and when it is on G7, everything looks okay. But it is currently not on G7. See, this is what happens when even if you have left your original position for somewhere else, then you can get lured. So now, see, now a series of forceful moves from white will finish black.
So G.
I got it, sir.
Should we put this position on the?
No need, sir.
No need.
No need, sir. If we understand first 2-3 moves, it's we can.
Yes, sir. The move is to kill the bishop B2 because so that it doesn't go in again.
Yeah, but not only that. What is the next level threat white has? So rook takes B2. Black. So white gives up an exchange for just for a bishop. He is sacrificing his rook, right? 5 points giving up for 3 points. But after that, so black rook will come on B2. So we'll
Queen D4, sir.
Queen D4 immediately would have been. It is the black rook will go back probably to defend. Right? Black rook might go back to B8 maybe, or might come to B5.
I think H6 is.
Yeah, bishop H6 is a look at this powerful move. Bishop H6, there is a double attack on the rook on F8.
Yes, sir.
In fact, white is threatening a checkmate on F8.
So then the only move there can be 2 moves. Either move the rook on F8 or get your rook to B8.
Yeah, get the rook from B to B8. That is one move. What if queen goes to C8? Black queen goes to defend white queen on C.
Queen E5.
That's also a
Queen
move.
E5.
More than queen E5. Yeah, queen E5 also wins, obviously. But queen F6 itself. Queen F6, and there is no way to prevent the checkmate on G7.
Yes, sir.
Right? So queen cannot go to C8. What can black do? Black can, if black gets the other rook here, okay, then what is the threat then? Back rank weakness. Queen to D8 check.
Oh yes. Yes, sir.
Rook takes D8. Rook takes D8 is checkmate.
Yes.
Yeah.
So after
that means even F8 rook can't move, so it has to be B. So it has to be B rook.
Yeah, it has to be this, right? Because anything else that happens, then white has got this back rank threat also, right?
So, but what?
D4.
Yeah, somebody is saying something. Abhinav, what were you saying? Or somebody else was saying something. Pranav,
I wasn't saying anything.
Okay, was it Pranav? Somebody was saying something.
Abhinav, sir.
I don't know.
I wasn't.
Sir, rook d5 here.
Rook d5 actually better is queen d4 because this is diagonal.
Yes, the same one I was saying.
Oh yeah.
6.
I think it's a forced checkmate.
Because now what will you do? Now f6 is the only way to block it. But then queen a7 is a double attack. He's threatening g7 checkmate. He's also threatening the rook on b8. But main focus is on how will you prevent the queen coming to g7. So if you play something like rook to f7, then other rook goes. Right? And anything else you play, then queen will come to g7. Right? This was an interesting position. Right? It started with rook takes b2, rook takes b2, bishop h6 is a powerful move. But not only that, you have so many threats after this that there is really... See, queen to d4 is threatening g7 checkmate, and there is very little that you can do apart from playing f6. But f6 if you play, queen a7 is a brilliant move. Right? Okay. All right. So what do? We look at the last position in this elimination of defender series. Yeah, look at this position.
Sir, I think G7 is the
G7 is a target. Right? G7 is it a defender? No, I don't think G7
No,
is
it's the target of checkmate, I think.
yeah, it's a
Yes,
target
sir.
checkmate. But who all are defending the G7?
Knight and bishop.
bishop.
Ah.
Yes.
Sir, queen to f6.
So we can remove.
Queen to
f6.
Queen to f6. Queen to f6. Pawn is pinned. King will go to g8. No, king will go to g8. Then your knight is falling, right?
Yeah.
The bishop e7.
So rook captures.
No, so bishop
Captures
e7.
Rook
E6.
takes no. It's rook takes e6, queen
Yes,
takes f8, and then rook takes g7.
Yes, sir.
Queen f6 also we have to see. Queen f6, what is the best way for...
I
No,
think
then if no, if queen to f6, then just rook to d7.
yes, rook to D6.
Rook to d6, huh?
d7.
Yes, sir.
Rook to d7, the e6 knight is hanging, right? No, the other, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, queen to f6 is bad because knight will kill the c7 rook. And now the pawn is no longer pinned, so your queen is also under threat.
We
Right?
didn't
So
see
queen f6 is not okay. Queen f6, knight will kill the c7 rook.
So, but your queen is under threat now.
Yeah, but white's queen is also under threat. Na? White's queen is also under threat on f6 because the pawn is no longer pinned.
Sir,
So rook takes e6. Eliminate first defender. Only way to capture is queen takes e6. Now eliminate the second defender also. Why? Because you have something like a mill, not exactly a mill, but you have got a strong rook and bishop combo.
Yes, sir. On G7.
On G7. So rook takes f8 forced. Now rook takes G7, where it is like a mill. It is not exactly a mill, but you can see it. Right? Windmill, we had seen it.
White will be a bishop up.
King h8. And now what should you do?
Capture on G6.
Yes.
Capture on G6, correct.
G6.
G6. Now it's a check. It's a discovered check.
And
And
take the queen.
queen will be gone, and then you are one rook and one bishop versus just one rook. Okay.
Pawns are also equal, so white is completely a bishop up.
Yeah, white is complete bishop up.
Sorry, pawns are not equal. White is
Pawn.
Wait,
Also,
what if,
go to
in this
B7.
case, what about rook to f6?
Yeah, rook to f6 is still, what is there? Rook takes f6.
Then queen to e1 checkmate.
Queen to e1 check. Okay, so we will see this. Okay, your queen will come to e1. So why don't we take bishop to f6 check first? Bishop to f6 check. Then king will go to
then
f7.
king to, yeah.
Then rook to g7 check.
Oh, yeah, then king to
eight
h8.
again.
King to h8, right? Then
No, now rook to e7 check.
no, rook to a7, queen will take f6. Queen will take the bishop on f6, so it is not.
Yes, so
So if rook takes rook comes to f6, what should? Yeah. Rook f6, then rook takes f6. Queen e1. Okay, rook to f1, discovered check. And your queen will be gone. So your queen is anyway gone. Yeah, imagine this, rook f6.
oh yeah.
Rook takes f6, attacks the queen. Okay,
Yeah,
and
okay.
if
And
queen
then
goes to e1, then rook to f1 is a discovered check again. And if you go to e4, then rook comes to f4 with a discovered check. So it is a gone case. Yeah.
Sir, black resign after this.
Yeah, after rook takes g6, black did resign. So yeah. Okay, I think we have seen quite a lot of examples. Please go through and complete the practice puzzles for the annihilation of defense. There are 11 puzzles. If you have not done it, those who have done it, I think it is good. So this is a very, very important tactic, huh? and you require lots of practice with this. Okay, lots of practice with lot of imagination and examples in your mind, so while 10, 11 are not enough, I think you have to do hundreds of examples, hundreds of practice you have to do. I'm sure Lichess has got a theme on this one, and you can practice a lot more. Annihilation of defense, Lichess puzzles. Okay. All right, we will come back and we'll see our position analysis. Do we have a position analysis? Did I send last time, which I have not completed? Which one was that? I think 17, huh? Or 17, did we complete? Yeah, 17, 65 and 66, I think we have done. Number 65 and number, yeah, this I remember we have done it. What about, just 1 second. What about number 67 and number 68? White to move number 67.
Rook to G7 check.
Yeah, rook to G7 looks like, is there some Arabian mate type of thing coming up? We have to see. Rook to G7 check, king has to go to H8.
Yeah, then knight to F8.
Yeah, knight to F8 is the key move. Knight to F8. You are threatening to play rook to
Yeah, checkmate.
rook to. No, it is still not a checkmate.
No, then we are threatening rook to H7 and then rook.
But then
to...
king comes to G8. You other rook you get it to G7,
Yeah.
and the king will kill the knight on F8. So it still is.
Okay.
Let's put this on the board. Pawns. White has got only 2 pawns. Black has got F6, F5, C6, and E3. Bishop, rook. Okay, I try to put this on the board. Board editor. Let's put it. Clear board. White has got only. White has got what is it? White has got only these 2 pawns. Okay. These 2. Black has got F6 here, C6, and E3. Bishop is somewhere here or something. Rook is here. White has got 2 rooks. White has got a knight. Black king is on here and black rook is here. I think so, right? Yeah. White king has to be there on G1, obviously. This is the position, and white to play. Yeah, what were we saying? What were we saying? So,
Sir,
yeah.
sir, first move, can it be knight captures F6?
Knight captures F6. So first let us check what happens if black rook captures the knight. Yeah, then there is no easy way, nothing forward.
No, so after if rook gives checks on G7,
And you will not be able to do any checkmate.
yes, we can't do any checkmate. We can't do.
So knight F6 is not.
Can it be a sacrifice of any one rook?
Mhm. What does it look like? Sacrifice where? No, you have to think of
Only thinking.
what is the weakness? Currently, the weakness is that. What is the weakness? Rook to G7, king goes to H8. That much is forced.
So,
Yeah.
rook E7.
Rook E7. What for?
Yes, sir. Try rook to.
Yes, sir. This move.
Now,
After
knight to F8.
Yes.
Knight to F8. Huh? Knight to F8 doesn't help because.
Yes, sir. I think it's a checkmate. I think
Not a checkmate.
she's right.
And the rook goes to support the knight, like rook C2, rook F7. And then if the king is trapped, so then the knight goes to G6 to mate.
Sir. Now if the
Yeah. Okay. I am seeing what Madhura is saying. Because you cannot capture with the rook.
Yes, sir, it's a check. It
will be a checkmate
on G7.
It will be a checkmate on G7. So you cannot capture with the rook. So what to do? You cannot move the king. So maybe if you bring this other rook down, I'm just checking. Then.
Sir, then it's H7. Sir.
No,
rook
not
F7.
No. Then
H7. Sorry.
You will come here.
And now G7.
G7, king will take it.
No, not that.
No. I think you are right. Now, if this knight goes here, then this itself is checkmate.
Oh yes.
This itself is checkmate. So you are really threatening. So Yeah. Now you are threatening to come to G6 and it's a checkmate. So what do you do?
Sir, it can't be prevented.
It can't be prevented, right? Looks like you can give a check maybe. Then you will attack and you will give another check. Then
If the white king goes to E,
Yeah.
yeah, E. Then again another rook give us check. Another rook gives check.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so on.
No,
Rook
D1.
can't be.
Sir, rook D1.
Yes, sir. Not that. Bishop is captured, sir. One move. Can you go one move back?
so actually this white need not do this. White need not do all of this. King can go to G2.
Yes.
And then even if you cannot give a check like this because the rook is falling. So
Yeah. And then
Whatever. After some moves.
What would happen?
So what would
sir,
happen?
could you go back where the king captured the bishop once?
no, that is a useless variation. I was just
Yeah, you could give a check by king. You could give a check by rook to E. E4.
yeah. Not rook.
Forcing it again, go back.
Yeah, but white king will come to G2 only here when you give a check. So because now you are running out. See, black does not really have a defense against the knight to G6. So he's just trying to make some moves and delay it. But what is it that he can do? He cannot do anything. What he can do is he can play bishop to F7. But that does not help because still rook takes F7.
Yes, it only delayed for one move actually. This bishop's move.
Now again you are threatening it, and if you take it with the rook, then anyway it's a check. Then it is a check. So can't take it. And
Yes.
so I think let us see this now whether we have got it right. Let us put on knight to F8, right? Anybody can see any other thing? What black can do?
No, I think no, sir. No pawns can come. Both of the rooks can't do anything. Bishop also
Sir,
can't.
which direction is the pawns going?
You have to see the chessboard. Where is it? Can you see the
Oh
coordinate?
yeah, right. It's coming to its first rank.
Yeah. So let us see what happens if.
Sir,
Yeah,
I
knight
think-
F8. It is saying the same thing like mate in 9 moves because it is rook E1, king G2. Okay, then rook E2 and king H3. Yeah, that's what I think. And then rook E7. Yeah, rook is sacrificing. So essentially same thing.
sir, can you go to the second move?
No, I think it is okay. So
No, sir.
what?
I think
Yeah.
here. No, sir. I was thinking if black can push the pawns, but he can't. This A pawn.
It's no use pushing the pawns. I think knight F8. Madhura, I think got the right answer. I think. Huh? Good. All right. So this is one position. Now let's go to the other position. Let's go to the other position, number 68. White to move. This is a very fundamental end game concept.
This comes very time with me, at least in end games. So, rook H8, rook H8.
Rook H8, threatening that you will push the A pawn to queen, and if black
captures, it's a pin.
It's a skewer. It's a skewer. So you will give the rook to H7 check. King will move, and then you will pick up the rook. So
Mistakenly,
it is very simple. This is too simple actually.
Yes.
So whenever it is like this, right? So you have to actually. I will put this on the board so that you will understand. There is one thing that you have to understand, and this happens many times. Who said that? Yeah, it happens many times.
Me, sir, Aditya, with
Okay.
me.
So it is like this. Your rook has taken the pawn all the way to the 7th rank. Black rook is defending it.
Sir, it happened to
So let us put the white king. Where
twice and 10 times.
See there. Okay, so the black king, right?
Sir, I did that 5 times, then I did that 5 times, and I got that.
Okay. So see, remember in this position, black king has to be very, very precise where it can be. It cannot be anywhere something like this. It cannot
Yes,
be
sir.
anywhere on the 6th rank. Why? Because the rook will go down, check the king, and even if the king moves to attack the rook, doesn't matter. The pawn will queen and support the rook. This rook will have to sacrifice itself, and then you will be 1 rook up.
Sir?
So king cannot be anywhere on the 6th rank. Obviously, king cannot be anywhere on the 8th rank because that is where the rook is attacking. So where can the king be?
Sir, B7 or C7?
Yeah, you can be on B7 or C7, or you will have to
B7 is
be,
the best.
or you will have to be on H7 or G7. Because if you are on F7, then the same thing will happen. Rook will go to H8 and threaten to queen the pawn. Black rook will take the pawn, then you will give the check and you will pick up the king. So there are only 2 squares which are either you have to be on H7 or G7 so that the rook cannot check only, or you should be on B7 or C7 somewhere here so that even if the rook checks, you are able to go back and still defend your rook on A7 when the pawn.
And then when white would say, then white would happily take the rook, still take the rook and draw. Much better than losing the game.
No, but white is trying to win the game, right? Not lose the game. So white is trying to win the game. So remember, this happens. This is a key thing. Anywhere else, the black king is there, right? Here. The white king will simply check the king and queen the pawn. So there are only 2 squares that are possible. But 4 squares, either B7, C7.
Why, sir?
Or
Could also be behind the rook.
Or G7, H7. Okay, you can also be in B6.
Yes, sir. Same I was saying. Or yes, A1. Somebody said behind the rook.
A1 A1. Yeah, A1 behind the rook is okay. Yeah, behind the rook is okay. Because you should not be exposed to a check.
I think
But it is very unlikely that your king will be behind the rook.
Anywhere along the A column in 7th row should work, right?
Anywhere on the A column. No, here if you are there, you are blocking your own rook, right? It will not help.
Yes, sir, but anywhere on the 7th row.
No, here it is not okay. Here it is not okay. Here it is not okay.
Sir, anywhere near the A
7 pawn. Anywhere near the A7.
Yeah, anywhere near the A7
Or here,
or
but you
in
don't
the
allow
last
the
2
king only to
spots.
don't allow the rook to come and give a this cure. That's the thing. So this is what I wanted you to know, because this is a very important thing, especially if you are defending. Because if you put the king anywhere away from these squares, right, you will lose immediately. Okay. So that is what you have to remember. Sometimes, and you don't have so much choice. Either if your king is on near the king side, then it has to maintain this vigil. G7, H7, G7, H7. Okay.
So both the kings would go racing towards the pawn and rook now. That might be the first step.
Yeah, but you don't have time, because the moment you start going, how will you go from here? The moment you start going, if you reach F7, then the white rook wins. If you go here, then the white rook wins. So you are stuck here. If you are here, then you are stuck here only.
Yeah.
If king could be on G7 or H7, it's a stalemate.
No, it's not a stalemate. White will still try to improve its position. White will try to play. Somewhere one extra pawn might be there or something might be there. Then you will try to play around it. But this is a key idea that you have to remember about queening. Okay. All right.
Sir, you told. So what if the king will go to F6?
If rook will simply come to F8, check.
Then no. Why? E6.
E6 also same thing. Rook will come, give a check. Wherever the king moves, the pawn will queen here with the support of the rook.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the whole threat.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if the king goes on b6,
D6,
no b6.
B6. Okay. B6 is a okay square. B6 is an okay square. Because if you give the check with the rook, then the king itself will take the pawn. So that's why B6 is okay. Anything very close to A7 is okay. Or you have to be on G7 or H7. B6
Sir,
is,
but then near A7 would be much better than H7 or
yeah,
G7.
but the only thing is that you have to be there already. You cannot come there from anywhere. You have to be already there.
Yeah, because G7 or H7 won't work because you wouldn't be able to move.
Anyway, I think you got the idea. I think that's what I wanted to convey. Okay. All right. So I think I will stop the sharing. I think we have also come to almost the end of the second thing. So this is it. So we'll meet next week. Okay.
Bye, sir.
All right.
Bye, sir.
Bye.